How's this thing supposed to start? My name's Aaron. Some of y'all might know me by Gimme. Some of y'all might not know me at all, but I think it's really important that we know these books really intimately. So I think it's time for you to go and check your shelf. What's up, all you beautiful young people? I'm glad you could make it back for another episode of Check Your Shelf, where we talk about banned books, counterculture literature. We might get into some religious texts and all kind of shit too. You never know what we're gonna dip into. Right now we're reading a book called Be Here Now by Baba Ram Dass, formerly known as Dr. Richard Alpert. He was a tenured professor at Harvard, and he decided to dedicate his life to becoming a magic, mystical, religious man in India. In the last episode, we dove into the book that he felt was his karmic duty to write. He needed to share this message with the masses, and this was the best way that he could do it. So, last episode was our first episode with video, and if you haven't seen that, and if you're listening to the audio version only, make sure you go check that out. I have a pretty face and I make funny faces, and if you don't have the book, it's really nice to follow along with this super visual representation of this guy's story. So last episode we dove in and we started talking about the heart cave, which is kind of like a metaphorical place where we should try to reside at all times. Some people might compare, like a good comparison might be like the kingdom of heaven, or like maybe childlike energy. You should try to stay completely mindful, completely carefree, always moving towards positivity and light, the same way a child or God would move. We also learned about the observer. The observer, in Christianity terms, might be talked about like the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, right? The Rasta man would call it I and I. So it's the observer resides in the heart cave, and you are the observer, right? So basically, anytime you're praying or meditating, or even having just internal dialogue, that's kind of you and the observer having a conversation, which is a good thing. You should be mindful of that and try to analyze it as best you can, and use that to your advantage when you are being conscious. We learned about the intensity and unpleasantness of the deep aspects of this spiritual journey that he went on, and he's kind of warning people that it's not an easy journey to go on. It's a lot of work, and some of the not pariahship, what's the word I'm looking for, like some of the shunning that he was feeling will happen to people who are on this path too. It always does. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. I've been sipping on a little bit of that booze. Don't do that, kids. It's bad. We learned about a couple of things that can keep you away from the metamorphosis. So being too locked into your bank account, letting the ego take hold. What was it? Some of the, I can't remember. There was a couple really good things that they had mentioned. I can just scroll through the PDF. What am I doing? We have video. You don't need the pages. So some of the things we talked about that might just keep you from those sort of states of mind would have been organizing, posturing, being too involved in your plans, things like that. Anything that keeps you away from your mindfulness, anything that keeps you distracted or anxiety ridden, or anxiety riddled with anxiety. That's it. I'm good at speaking. I know all the words. We also learned about the types of things that can keep you from the complete metamorphosis. I already said that. Don't repeat yourself, you idiot. We learned about the inevitability of the process. Like things were always going to be this way. It was never, you are a totally determined being. So this feeling that like you can change your destiny is kind of silly. Like it was always going to be this way. Karma is kind of misunderstood that way in a Western sense. You can't change your karma. It's already kind of set in stone. We learned that a caterpillar doesn't really live its life thinking or anticipating that it will become a butterfly. It's too busy being a caterpillar. We learned that feeling the word of God, or total fulfillment, you can feel it through direct experiences. And that's the most frequent and powerful way to feel them. So maybe something like yoga, meditation, childbirth, or some cases even baseball or drugs. And then we also kind of learned the futile feeling of there being such a large number of holy men and women throughout thousands of years on Earth, and no one can really seem to find the answer that we're looking for. But it's crazy because no one's gonna stop, right? Sorry, I just had to make sure I was recording. But no one's gonna stop, right? So it's not exactly futile, but it can feel disheartening, can it? I'm not sure how many people out there that listen are actually going through a spiritual journey of their own, whether it's Christianity or otherwise, but it's not easy. It's very fulfilling, though. I'll give you that. So with that out the way, man, let's go ahead and dive into episode 5. Check your shelf. With your boy, Gimme. Alright, man, let's jump into this biatch. I apologize for my language. Sorry, mama. That experience you had is psychotic. I'll give you Thorazine. It's not valid. You're hallucinating. What do you mean, you're God? The understanding of the possibility may have come to you directly through the experience itself, or it may have come to you through inference, through your intellect. You may have reasoned and reasoned until you saw the peculiar position that rational man is in, and you realized that there must be something else. Although you have not experienced it, you just infer the presence of something else. In quotes. I love that. In quotes. Something else. I mean, you are something else already inside of you, right? Like, you are the something else. It doesn't quite make sense. Nothing turns you on. You haven't experienced it directly, but you figured there must be something else. Something there. And then you read all the writings of St. John of the Cross and St. Theresa of Avila, and on all the mystics and visionaries in recorded history. And you say, well, they can't all be nuts. They must be talking about something. So you sort of infer the presence of this other thing, but you don't know it in your guts. And that's a tough position to be in. That's a tough one to be in that position. So that was the last thing we read last week, just to give you kind of a little, not a refresher, but a little breather into what we're reading. Excuse me. Let me clear my throat. Excuse me. Excuse me, sir. Then, the third way. So the two we just talked about, direct and inference. Then the third way is you trust the fact that there are realized beings. We got a bunch of pictures of all these religious figures. There are realized beings, and they said it, and therefore you know it to be true. It's not inference anymore. It's not an intellectual process. You just accept what they have said, and that's faith. See, we've gotten so super sophisticated in our evaluative mechanisms that you question everything you hear. How do you know you're not being hustled? I mean, what was Jesus up to? What's the game, man? What's he into? And you especially feel paranoid. If you were one of the keepers of the tables in the temple, if you are committed to an existing system with great attachment, somewhere or other, most of you in this room, most of you, not all of you, most of you have sensed the possibility, but you can't quite surrender. What are you giving up? A hollow little trip that's good for another 40 years at best. You're giving it up for eternal union with pure energy and pure light. Because surrender means you no longer die. It's as simple as that. That's what it means. Because you that lives and dies as you, ego and fear of death only comes through the brittleness of the ego. Total surrender. I wonder if I should put like effects on that part of my voice. It might have been, if I did do that and it's corny, I'm calling myself out right now. But yeah. There's no more you. No more life and death. Yeah, I'm gonna die. Wow, dig that. I'm gonna live. Wow, dig that. Garbage. Wow. New blossoms on the tree. Wow. Patterns of energy. It's all patterns of energy. You're part of it all. That's the place. So you know how they say God is everywhere, right? I mean, you're just participating in all of the energy transference and trading. That's all it is. Everything's just vibrations, right? You remember that from science class, everybody? So my father says to me, when are you going back to India? And I say, I'm going back when the guru says I am to come back in 2 years. So my father says, do you do everything he says? Don't you have a mind of your own? We are giving you this exquisite position in this company, and we want you to know you'll have a great deal of independent decision-making power. What do you want to do today, Marty? I don't care. What do you want to do? I remember a few days staying in London. We had fled from Copenhagen, where we had a very unfortunate scene at a psychological convention. We were in London, and Tim and Bill Burrows and I were walking down the street high on something or other, and we were spending days going from park to tea room to park to tea room. And every now and then we'd hit a corner, and somebody should say, well, should we cross the street? And we'd stand there, and nobody would seem to care, because we were all fulfilled at that moment. Right there, on the street corner in London, we were all just very, very high. Haha, hell yeah. I asked for it and I got it. We got it early. Let's go, baby. We gonna fucking light it up, boy. Run it. Huh. I got the nail warmed up so you know we about to hit it. Yeah, I got some wax. They asked me where the fuck you get it. Bitch, you don't gotta ask. It's me, your boy, gimme. Still a little hot. So we're gonna chill for a second. I got some biscotti crumble right here, but it's not real. This is movie set wax. All right. Appreciate you, Dre. Appreciate you, Snoop, man. Y'all really the kings out here, so good looking out for the soundtrack, man. Let's get back to this bullshit. And you know we down in the dirty. Hey. Oh boy, block your eyes. YouTube, please don't take me down. Oh Lord, help me now. Those are just mushrooms, ladies and gentlemen. Those are not 9-foot tall penises, I promise. You don't have to have that urge, that desire, that unfulfilled thing. Just let it be. Just be. Be more. Holding you back? Your thoughts, huh? Oh, what's holding you back? My big ass thumb was blocking a whole word, man. What's holding you back? Your thoughts, huh? You've got to give them up. Just ego planning. What are you doing? Planning for the future? Well, it's all right now. But later? Forget it, baby. That's later. Now is now. Are you gonna be here or not? It's as simple as that. Let's get these fucking dicks off. Well, that's not what I meant. I meant get them off the screen if you was watching the fuck. God, you can't write this kind of comedy, bro, I tell you. Those big dicks get my heart racing. Fucking, sorry. But I'm so young. I have so many things to do yet. Well, that'll sure keep you from being here and now. Life is passing me by. But if I live just in the here and now, won't there be chaos? What happens if the telephone rings? Well, the here and now is the fact that the telephone is ringing. Pick it up. What if somebody wants to make an appointment to see me 3 weeks from now? Right, great. Write it down. That's here and now. Well, what happens 3 weeks from now? 3 weeks from now, there's that appointment then. Then that is here and now. When your child comes down the stairs, this is the first moment all over again. This is Buddha meeting Buddha over toast and coffee, over milk and porridge, over moo tea and brown rice. We never had this breakfast before. This is it. This is all there is right now. If it's not good enough, man, it's not good enough. You can tell this Raja Yoga really resonated with Ram Dass because I couldn't have put it more simply. You can prepare for a test, but when you're preparing, that's here and now. So make sure you're doing it to 100% of the extent of your abilities. And then when the time comes for the test, be fully mindful and aware and present for that test. But don't spend all the time in the interim worrying about you should be studying more or worried that you're going to fail the test. That's no longer here and now when you do that. When your child comes down the stairs, this is the first moment all over again. This is Buddha meeting Buddha. I like that because he's stylistically bringing up the heart cave, the childlike mentality that we all should strive to have, your inner child. But I think even your biological child, when they come down the stairs for breakfast and they see you, their joy and their complete absorption of the moment and all of the intricacies that go along with the relationship between child and parent, those are godly traits. That's Buddha meeting Buddha. Turn the page. Copyright strike. Now, about 5 years ago, I'm living in this community in California with a very, very beautiful high being, Steve Durkee, a visionary artist, very beautiful guy. His wife and child. Oh, that's just a lot of commas. I'm living in this community with a very beautiful high being, Stephen Durkee, a very beautiful guy, his wife and child. So those are all the people he's living with. And I'd have it, see, just rambles, bro. Just be rambling for no reason. It's like fucking Tolkien over here. And I'd have a day off, and it would be Saturday. And we'd go to the store, the dog, the babies. We'd all get in the Volkswagen microbus. There'd be Jane, the gal I was living with, and her baby, and me and Steve and Barbara, and the whole scene going shopping. You know, it's funny, he didn't mention that bitch in the long rambling ass sentence that he had up there. It's just kind of crazy. He could have been more long-winded. Very cool picture, very Fear and Loathing reminiscent there. We'd get to the door, and Dakota, Kobe in parentheses, Steve's daughter, would start to cry. Well, now, we got to get to the store. I have Saturday mornings free, and Saturdays we shop. All right, Kobe, cool it. Kobe doesn't cool it. She cries. Well, maybe we'll go to the store with Kobe crying, or no, Kobe doesn't like that. She cries louder. Or maybe Barbara had better stay home with Kobe. Let's go, come on. Aren't we? We're going out, aren't we? What's wrong, Kobe? She's just being a kid. Got a little self-portrait here and a baby, and then a bunch of crying being represented around the border of the around the border of the page. Ooh, nice little double. Little double. Sorry, that was a video joke. I was tabbing back and forth between the pages. Only 3 people are gonna like that joke. What's the use of going to the store, Steve says. It's like what price efficiency? What happened to the vibrations? What happened to the human beings in that shuffle? So we'd do this absurd thing. We'd all stop and gather. We'd all sit down and join hands around this little kid, and we'd cool ourselves out. Colby would stop crying, and then we'd go to the store. And Steve taught me that. If you get so efficient, if you've got to turn off all the ribbity, where's the frog? Where's the frog at? And Steve taught me that if you get so efficient, if you've got to turn off all the vibration of the scene because you're so busy about the future or the past or time has caught you, it costs too much. So turning off all the vibrations of the scene, I'm gonna go ahead and try to relate that to the feeling of neglecting that child's dissatisfaction with going to the store. If you get so efficient and you ignore the vibrations of the scene, the cost is that this child is going to keep crying, maybe long-term damage from neglect or whatever, but you can't just turn off the vibrations of the scene. You can't be that efficient. You can't be like, well, I've only got Saturday mornings free and I have to go to the store because if I don't go to the store, well, then we're not going to have any food. Just take your time, take a breath, relax. Let's calm the kid down. Let's deal with the scene real quick and let's get to the business. That's here and now. Let's deal with that situation, then we can go shopping. Maybe I'm misleading it. Maybe I'm misdiagnosing it. Fuck, what word am I looking for? One to me. Got 2 skeletons joined at the wrist. Muscular systems and skeletal systems combined. And you finally understand the message you communicate with another human being has nothing to do with what you say. It has nothing to do with the look on the musculature of your face. It's much deeper than that. Much deeper. It's the vibrations that emanate from you. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that has always resonated with me and held true through my life. Has a lot less to do with what I say and how I say it, because the people who I'm communicating these things with understand me well enough to know the context and the subtext of what I'm actually saying. So that is very important, that you let the vibrations kind of speak for you, if you will. Live godly so that others will want to try to emulate it and live like you. I have a hiccup stuck in my throat, and I don't want to start talking because I know it's going to come out, but it came in wet, so we're good. If your vibrations are paranoid, that's what's being received. And when you're around pets, birds or cats particularly, or very young children or very flipped out psychotics, they will know you immediately. You can come and say, "Hello dear, how are you?" and the dog will growl. You can't come on because they're listening to the vibrations. And you see, I'm focused on what he means by come on, but like that's like an old timey saying for like well, no, he's coming on to me. I guess that's kind of like flirting, but You can't come on because they're listening to the vibrations that hand is reaching out and sending. You realize that every moment you are a full statement of your being. And you're sending out vibrations that are affecting everything around you, which in turn is affecting everything that comes back. And when you meet somebody who is caught in the world of we and them, and you are him to that person, and you get caught in his mind net, you are both just intensifying one another's paranoia. I had a fun experience at a party recently where I was shooting a music video where everything started out very amicable and everybody was having a good time, but this kind of guy was the kind of guy who liked to dominate the party and personality. And I was just hanging out, man. I was just being myself as best I could, enjoying the vibes. Everybody was having a good time. We was chilling, playing cards, etc. But yeah, I guess I can't speak for him, but what seemed obvious to me, it may not be the case, but you know, my personality was just a little bit too big for him, and he kept trying to challenge me and big bro me and, you know, kind of disrespect me in front of the whole party. So when I clapped back, it really hurt his feelings, and you know, that was really it. After he left, you know, I got kind of emotional because that was something that I had, you know, not neglected to let out, but it's something I kind of consciously chose to subdue inside myself. You know, it's not something that I'm proud of, but it's something that's necessary sometimes. But you know, he was kind of, I was him to that person at the time. So when he felt challenged by me, he had nothing to do. He couldn't do anything but double down because there was a little bit of an ego problem. So all the vibrations that he was giving out because of his insecurities came back to me, got me out of my pocket, which brought down the vibrations of the whole party, which thankfully was winding down already and almost done. But even afterwards, it made me extremely emotional and caused me to like really do some introspection. So be wary of that, especially like maybe a good realistic and applicable situation, job interviews or first dates. Displaying that aura of confidence and competence is huge, and it's not even fake it till you make it, right? It's just I don't know, maybe it kind of is though. Maybe you have to be an actor a little bit. Maybe you just have to read from the script for a second, and once you find the vibrations and are able to ride the waves of that feeling a little bit, then it gets a little bit easier. But I like what he said up here about when you're around pets, birds or cats particularly, or very young children or very flipped out psychotics, they will know you immediately. You can come and say, "Hello dear, how are you?" and the dog will growl. I've known a bunch of people who, they got, what do they say? They got the gift of gab, but can't trick a cat, man. Hippies create police. Police create hippies. You got a yin-yang infinity symbol going around. You got a couple cut out masks and faces that you would use for these paper dolls below. I'm gonna try to read this. It bounces around a lot. If you're in polarity, you're creating polar opposites. You can only protest effectively when you love the person whose ideas you are protesting against as much as you love yourself. Weigh people's individuality. So, the more you live in polarity, the more polar opposites you're creating. You have to love the person whose ideas you're protesting against in order to fully be able to protest them effectively. If you hate the person you're protesting against, you're operating from this like weird state of emotional immaturity, maybe. I'm not really sure the exact word I'm looking for, but yeah. If we analyze this image a little further, you can see kind of on the left we got some bell bottoms and like a Austin Powers kind of top, like a floofy Shakespeare type top. And then on the right we got kind of like what maybe might be like a soldier uniform, like got the pants tucked into the boots, and it's a guitar and like a grenade strapped to a vest, and all kinds of costumes you can create basically. Love has to spring spontaneously from within, and it is in no way amenable to any form of inner or outer force. Love and coercion can never go together. But though love cannot be forced on anyone, it can be awakened in him through love itself. Love is essentially self-communicative. Those who do not have it catch it from those who do have it. True love is unconquerable and irresistible, and it goes on gathering power and spreading itself until eventually it transforms everyone whom it touches. Meher Baba. Yeah, I like that, man. It's fun to think of love as a disease. Like love is an STD, you know. I've always had a fun thought experiment about love too. It's kind of like one of the most addictive drugs we've ever had, because as soon as we hit puberty and find our first girlfriend and get that first kiss, as soon as we break up with them, or as soon as they break up with us and the relationship is no longer, the first thing we do is work on ourselves, work on our situation so that we can find another one as soon as possible. And that's just fun to think about. I mean, I can tell you, I could name a dozen right offhand of, you know, people who have had more relationships in the past 3 months than I have in the last 6, 7, 8 years. And again, I'm not trying to say my situation's any better. I hope everyone's able to find that same amount of peace that everyone deserves, but I'm just saying it seems crazy to me, because I could never imagine hopping to something so tender, vulnerable, you know, as sharing with somebody in a relationship, especially physically. Sharing your seed is literally sharing your seed. So like ejaculating inside someone or on somebody or inside a condom near somebody, that's a really huge energy transference that shouldn't be taken lightly. But even like metaphysically and like philosophically, like laying with somebody like that, it's just it's real, man. It's real, and it's something that I think we don't take very seriously anymore, and that's not cool. I think it's a ritual. It's a practice. It's holy. Like it's a holy dance. It's the dance of creation, man, and we should take it a little bit more seriously and be careful with how we use it, because some people definitely weaponize it. But that's physical love. And I just connected that because I made a stupid joke about love being an STD. That doesn't take away from the power of this. Love is self-communicative. The only way you can teach others to love themselves is to love yourself. You can't just tell them you can't just read a book to them and expect them to get it. All I can do is love myself so strongly that it convinces you it's the only way to live. Because this is the only way to live. If you want to find out what heaven is, this is kind of the way to go, man. It's the only thing that exists. As far as heaven is concerned, as far as I'm concerned about heaven, this is the way to achieve it, and it's the only way that it exists. I don't think it's something that like lives in the clouds. It's something that you can achieve every day if you choose to live in that heart cave, if you will. And the fact of the matter is, as you go out on the astral plane, you see more and more. And the final thing you see in the world of form, before you go into the formless and into total unity, you see the world of yin and yang. Very fun picture. A lot of paisley, but it's mostly just the same stamps, just with black and white. You got a couple little geometric shapes and flowers and stuff like that. But And the world of yin and yang, it's another astral plane. And it's one of the highest planes in the world of form, but it's still duality. It is still polarization. There is God, there is man, there is good, there is evil. Yes, no, pleasure, pain, loss, gain. The world most everybody is living in most of the time. As you go out on the astral plane, I don't know if that means anything. That's some D&D shit. I don't know. I mean, when you trip, are they considering that the astral plane? I don't really know if I feel comfortable putting that sort of term to it. The only way out of that, which the only way out of the world most everybody is living in most of the time, the only way out of that is to take the poles of every set of opposites and see the way in which they are one. And if you can get into that place where you see the interrelatedness of everything and you see the oneness in it all, then no longer are you attached to your polarized position. The whole thing about generation gap is a hype. The spirit is the spirit. When you can center and see your whole life as a story in which chapters are unfolding, then the moment-to-moment ego involvement, am I getting enough at this moment? Ceases to be a dominant theme, and you start to live in the Tao, the way. Jesus said, I am the way. It's the same way. The way is the way is the way. I'm not going to get too involved with this, but the spirit is the spirit, the way is the way. And if you happen to look at Jesus and find and feel that sense of total fulfillment, then you're getting the message, and that's fine. The issue is when you try to force is not the right word, but you shouldn't be out there trying to influence others to live like you. You should be living in such a way, in such a desirable way that people can't help but want to emulate it. And am I getting enough at this moment stops to be a dominant thing when you start living in the way. So yeah, I guess I think this is more just, I think we can all relate this back. I think I can relate this back to the heart cave. The way to act, to be godly. That is the way. And that, again, we're talking about mindfulness and awareness and just staying consistently in the moment. Positively and consistently. The way is the harmony of the universe. See, that's basically what I just said. The way is the harmony of the universe. When one comes into the spirit, when one sees how it is, one understands that behind all the individual differences, man, woman, big, little, old, young, good, bad, every label you can think of becomes background instead of figure. What stands out is, here we are, here and now. That's all there is. And if it isn't beautiful, man, there's nothing. So you say, well, I can't have it beautiful now, but later, when we get the food home, it will be beautiful. Later never exists. What happened to life insurance, to tenure, to planning, saving, responsibilities? Nothing's happened to any of it. And then the next page is just this fucking four-armed man head on a woman body. That's a butt I want to touch, bro. And it's wearing like a little bralette thing, but casting fire in one hand, got a little fidget spinner in the other hand, anklets on deck. It says surfing. It was a jarring. That was a jarring page turn. I feel like I got blue balls from what we were just talking about. Let's see where this goes. Either you do it like it's a big weight on you, or you do it as a part of the dance. When you understand the thought is the thought of the thoughtless, your singing and dancing is no other than the voice of the Dharma. When you understand the thought is the thought of the thoughtless. So to me, that means you are the observer, right? So since most people have trouble thinking they're separate from the universe, they don't realize that their thoughts are coming from the thoughtless. So once you understand that your thoughts are coming from the thoughtless because you are nothingness and everything, you have to again eliminate these polarities and try to find the commonalities between them. Once you realize that your singing and dancing is no other than the voice of the Dharma. So, not the Dharma Initiative, not like Lost. I want to say it's everything is what the word for is the word. The eternal and inherent nature of reality. So yeah, everything. Cosmic law, underlying right behavior and social order. The nature of reality regarded as a universal truth. So, once you realize that your thoughts come from the thoughtless, you are singing and dancing the language. You're speaking the music of the universe when you decide to do these things, and that's fucking beautiful, man. Singing and savings accounts and dancing and jobs and insurance and responsibilities. Do you do it from unk or do you do it from Shiva's dance of life? Do you surf through it all or do you carry it around like a load? If only you could throw it off. If only I didn't have these kids around my neck. You can't get away for the day because it's in your head. That you're trying to get away from, and see, everything goes from right to left regardless. It doesn't stay in blocks, okay? Because it's in your head. That you're trying to get away from, and the only way to get away is to change your head. Simple as that. You want to change your environment? Change your head. It's all the ecstatic moment. If you know how to dig it. If not, that's a tragedy. That's all profane. Sorry, YouTuber video watchers, because I did not change that page. Do your own reading, buy your own book. Ha 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 ha, I'm selfish. Look at me. Anyway. Desire. The first thing in my teacher's book, the first thing he ever wrote on his slate, because he was silent, was desire is a trap. Desirelessness is moksha, liberation. Desire is the creator. Desire is the destroyer. Desire is the universe. And that applies to the physical plane, the astral plane, the casual plane. So yeah, the astral plane is, I'm assuming where we go when we trip, we get a little peek into it type thing. Heaven, hell, demons. The demons on 43rd Street as well as the demons on the astral plane. All right, dude, that seems, I don't know, is 43rd Street like, is that like, I wonder if that's, well, he's Jewish, so who do Jewish people hate? Is that like where Palestine people stay or something? I don't know. Heaven, hell, demons are all creations of desire. All the manifestations of the Divine Mother are creations of desire. That's why Naga, the naked aesthetic, worked on getting Ramakrishna to go beyond his love for Kali. Give up even the desire to be experiencing the bliss of being it all, of being with the Divine Mother. So, the chase, right? The thing that we're all searching for, whether it's I have to live by the 10 Commandments so that I get to heaven, or we have to recognize that we are all God so that we can go back to the 512 million years of peace that the Hindus believe, or something like that. I always get that shit wrong. It's something like that. But you get the idea. You have to give up, even if you really want to truly get to heaven, you have to get rid of the idea of even going. That's desire. You can't have want or desire in your heart if you truly want to achieve these sort of levels of spiritual freedom. And that's one of the hardest things that I've had to face for a little while, is desire in general, but realizing that there is no divine answer, and there's never going to be one that your stupid little human brain could fathom anyways. So suck it up and keep going. It was always going to be this way, so just keep being your most godly self, okay? Can you do that for me, guys? The Buddhists say, cut out all this middle stuff. I'm talking about the non-dualistic Buddhists. I don't want to get into all the different sects of Buddhism, because since it's one of the oldest religions, there's like countless different variations and subsects and like genres or whatever the fuck in Buddhism. So that's a whole podcast in and of itself. They say, don't get hung up on all these different desire trips, just go beyond it all. Buddha's 4 noble truths are very straightforward and very simple. The first one concerns the fact that life always has in it the element of unfulfillment. Call it suffering. Birth, old age, sickness, not getting what you want, getting what you don't want, even getting what you want in this physical world is going to be suffering, because you're going to lose it. It's always in time. Everything that is in time is going to pass away. I have a burp approaching. Burp evacuated. You're going to lose it. It's always in time. Anything in time is going to pass away. Lay not up your treasures where moth and rust doth corrupt. I love that. That's the trap of time. As long as you want anything in time, it's going to pass, because time passes. I like that little clock right there. That'd be a really cool like marble stone sculpture to hang up if I ever get rich. So the 4 noble truths to Buddhists are as quintessential and bread and butter to the religion as the 10 Commandments. So the 4 noble truths are very straightforward and very simple. The first one concerns the fact that life always has in it the element of unfulfillment. Call it suffering. So they use very bleak terminology, and every time I try to talk to somebody who follows Western religion or doesn't really sort of have the same sort of understanding of metaphor and deep complexity of language, they always think of suffering like torture, but it really means more, like you said, unfulfillment or dissatisfaction. So anything you want that can live in a place of time will always pass, because cameras break, cars get in accidents, marriages end, fathers die. We'll get on when we get to the 2nd and 3rd noble truth. I'm sure there's gonna be more passages about it. We're getting close to the end, so I don't want to go too much into those, because they do go into how to alleviate suffering and the best way to do it. So we'll get into more of that as we go on. But yeah, so just be mindful of your desires, because most of the time the things that you desire are things that reside in the plane of time. Yep, see, so the second noble truth. So I'm going to pause it right here and see where we're at. Yeah, this page and the next page are both pretty long, and we get into one of my favorite metaphors of the book too. I remember really enjoying. I haven't read this in a couple of years, 2 or 3 years at least. So, but the second noble truth is the cause of suffering is desire or craving. And we're going to save this for the next podcast, but in a nutshell, that's what the second noble truth is. The first noble truth, again, is life always has an element of unfulfillment, which they call suffering. The second noble truth is the root cause of suffering. And that cause of suffering is desire or craving. So it's also, I think it also, and maybe it is the third one, I don't think it is, but usually attached to the second one is attachment as well. So but we'll get into that again on the next one. I do want to just really extend my gratitude to you guys. This is something that's been a lot of fun for me to do. I'm having a lot of really cool personal experiences with this book again. I've come a long way, and I've been through a lot. And, going through some of the personal relationships that I've had to kind of cast aside, it's cool to really reflect on how I feel about certain things and how I've held on to them and maybe even become a little bit attached myself, right? So it's fun to know that even after all these years of practice, we still got a little bit of work to do. Speaking of work to do, now that we got video and stuff like that, I got a couple things that we're editing, so I would really appreciate a good follow, a good share, a good subscribe. Just tell your friends, man. I mean, I know this is kind of a religious hubbub of a book right now, but this is also me just kind of getting my feet wet and, knocking out the kinks and stuff like that. We're going to get into a lot of really fun stuff. I'm not sure what we're going to read next, but we don't have that much longer to contemplate it. We're getting close. We don't have that much longer to contemplate it because we're getting close to halfway through the book. So I'll probably put up a little poll in the Facebook group. So if you want to go to your Facebook and type in "check your shelf" and join the Facebook group, that would be awesome. If you want to participate, again, we're brand new. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just trying to read some books, man. I know I got a good voice for it, and I'm an entertaining guy, so I'm here for y'all. Give me $100, I might get naked. You never know. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thanks for rocking with me, man. Check your shelf, episode 5. It was a blast, man. Thanks for tuning in. I love y'all. Peace.